Can we seek knowledge at Masjid at-Tarbiyyah, and what is the manhaj?
With regards to Masjid Tarbiyah, it is a masjid that is not far from where we are, and the teachers that are teaching there or that teach there, they have aqidah, or they have mistakes in their aqidah, and they promote the aqidah of the Khawarij, and they have several mistakes. The first and foremost is that they praise people of Ahlul Bid'ah. From them, Salman al Odah, Safar al-Hawali, and Sulayman al Alwān. These three individuals are people who are from Ahlul Bid'ah. The scholars rahmatullahi alayhim have warned against them. They were imprisoned during the time of Ibn Baz and Ibn Uthaymin rahimahullah. Albani said about them, Khawarijun Asriya, they are modern Khawarij, and Safar and Salman. And Ibn Uthaymin rahimahullah, when he was asked about them, he said that it's enough for you to listen to Albani, the cassettes of Albani and Ibn Uthaymin rahimahullah. Albani and Ibn Baz rahimahullah ta'ala rahmatan wasi'ah. And they were in prison during their time, and they stayed in prison for a long time. And the reason why they were in prison is because of the ideology of the Khawarij that they had. The ideology of the Khawarij that they had. Salman al Odah, one time he praised Ibn Baz, and some of his followers said to him, why are you praising Ibn Baz? And he said, أدعو الله أن يموت ويدخل الجنة بسرعة فنستريح منه. I make dua that he dies and he enters into Jannah bisur'ah, so that we can rest from him. So that we can rest from him. Also, when that so-called Arab Spring was taking place, he was from those people who would always promote it. Also, Safar was one of those people that the scholars warned against in the 90s, because they would write works and they would warn against, and they would try to cause revolutions within the Mamlaka al-Arabiya Saudiya, and they would praise people like Ibn Laden. So those sorts of people we shouldn't obviously listen to. And anyone that praises them is upon their methodology. Anyone that praises these sorts of people is upon their methodology. And their methodology is a deviant ideology. And the Prophet ﷺ said, Al-Mar'u ala deen khalili. The person is upon the religion of his friend. And I used to hear about them ages ago, 5 years ago or so. And that they have certain issues in Aqidah, and they promote these sorts of individuals. Lakin, obviously, it wasn't something that I had come across or I've heard anything about. Lakin, you may have also come across voice notes that they sent and messages that they sent out in which they are clarifying their Aqidah, praising these sorts of Imams, and saying that only the Madakhila and the Jamiyah and the Jahmiyah have issues against these great Imams, and they are Al-Allama Fulan and so on and so forth. And why do they hate these two great Imams? Shaykh Muhammad Aman al-Jami and Shaykh Rabi al-Mahdi, Hafidhahullah wa Rahimah al-Awwal. Why do they hate them? They hate them because they were those who, they exposed them. They exposed their deviant ideology. And obviously, because if someone opposes them and exposes them, then they would show dislike towards them. And then they made up this thing called the Jamiyah. To the extent that when they were in Riyadh, people from their followers, they attacked Shaykh Muhammad Aman al-Jami in the masjid. And you can listen to, if you go on YouTube, you can actually hear the recording. They tried to attack him in the masjid. And then this individual in this voice recording that he's sending out, he said that Sulayman al Alwān is a thorn in the throats of the Jamiyah. He's not a thorn in the throats of the Jamiyah. Shaykh Muhammad Aman al-Jami is a thorn in the throats of Ahlul Bid'ah. Why? Because he wanted to debate with them, قال الله وقال رسول. And because they didn't have any of that, they resorted to attacking him in person. So these sorts of people we shouldn't associate ourselves with, and we shouldn't take knowledge from. Also, in that same clip, he's asked about the person who says that Malik Salman is a kafir. And he says, I don't mind. I don't have an issue with someone saying that Malik Salman is a kafir, and Malik Salman is not a kafir. I don't have issues. And then the question asks him, why don't you have issues with them saying that he's a kafir? Because it is an issue of ijtihad. It is an issue of ijtihad, that a person can do their legal reasoning and then say that, yeah, Malik Salman is a kafir, or anyone from the hukam of the Muslimin. And this is the ideology of the Khawarij, where they nurture the shabab and they cultivate them upon that ideology of calling the hukam, the Muslim hukam, kuffar. So if you do go to them, that's what they're going to teach you. And the Salaf would say, إِنَّ هَذَا الْعِلْمَ دِينٌ فَانْظُرُوا عَمَّنْ تَأْخُذُونَ دِينَكُمْ. This religion that you're learning, or this knowledge that you're learning, is your religion. Since it is your religion, then be careful who you are taken from. So the Salaf, sometimes when the people of bid'ah would talk to them, they would stick their fingers in their ears so that they could not hear. So that they could not hear. Let alone go into them and sitting in their lessons and in their classes. Also on top of that, whatever they're teaching, alhamdulillah, Ahlul Sunnah are teaching in abundance. The masajid of Ahlul Sunnah and the marakis, the centers of Ahlul Sunnah, are many. Any science that you want to learn, you can study under people whose aqeedah is sound. So why would you want to put yourself in this position of not knowing what you're being taught? Or the aqeedah of the person that is teaching is the aqeedah of the Khawarij. Apply the athar and the narrations of the Salaf al-Salih, where one of them would come to Ahlul Sunnah and say, the Imams of the Sunnah, and say, let me debate with you one ayah. And they would say to him, Wallahi wala nisful ayah. Not even half an ayah. And the Salaf would say that from the signs of Allah wanting good for a shab is that he guides into a alim of the Sunnah. And alhamdulillah, the ulama of Ahlul Sunnah are many. The students of knowledge of Ahlul Sunnah are many. So there is no need to go and seek knowledge from them. Whatever is being taught there is being taught in all of the other masajid. And it is not a personal gain. And I don't get anything personal from talking and warning you shabab against them. If I wanted, I could have done it 5 years ago. Like, it is only them that expose themselves and praising the likes of Salman al Odah and Safar al-Hawali and Sulayman al Alwān and these sorts of individuals who make takfir on people. And Salman al Odah himself, he goes from one side to the other, from being an extreme takfiri to then becoming one of those liberals. And it shows if a person is not upon the methodology of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, then you see them changing like the windmill, going from one direction to the other. Look at Ibn Baz, Ibn Uthaymeen, Ibn al-Fawzan, al-Haydan, al-Abbad. These great imams, they haven't changed. They don't need to change the aqeedah because the aqeedah is based on the Quran and the Sunnah. As for saying someone praised them and someone praised them, tazkiyah doesn't mean anything if the person has a corrupt ideology and a incorrect aqeedah. It doesn't matter who praises you. If your aqeedah is not upon the aqeedah of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, wallahi, Fawzan can praise you 50 million times. Ibn Baz, Ibn Uthaymeen, Albani, all three of them can praise you 50 million times. If your aqeedah is not upon the aqeedah of the Quran and the Sunnah, ala fahm salaf al-salih, then those tazkiyat are worth nothing. And when you're learning knowledge, you're learning your aqeedah. What are we studying now? Kitab Tawheed. In this chapter and the chapter that is to come is what? Issues to do with tahleel wa tahreem, obeying and not obeying the hukam and the rulers and the Muslim scholars in saying things that are halal or haram. And in the next chapter is what? Ruling by the sharia of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So whether you like it or not, their aqeedah is going to rub off on you, because if they're teaching you a book, then obviously what? You're going to be in the class hearing this day in, day out. Also, someone may say, yeah, but they're teaching the books of the Salaf. Doesn't matter whether they're teaching the books of the Salaf or not. Like, they have their interpretation. So alhamdulillah, this ulama of Ahlul Sunnah are sufficient for us. Their lectures are many, and we have to be careful who we take knowledge from. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam wa ahkam.